Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Rhonda. Welcome back for this week's practice growth strategy via email. Like I told you last week, I'm going to be back every week in your inbox with a little short tidbit about practice growth. Today, I want to talk about something super simple, and that is the power of a handwritten note. How many of you, what would you say, when was the last time that you wrote a note to your patient? When was the last time that you made a phone call at the end of the day for that new patient just to check on them and make sure they were doing okay? When was the last time you did that? I will tell you that that was my secret sauce for such rapid clinical growth early on, because I didn't have a lot of money for marketing. And that was way back when, there was like, you had a website, but you had to pay $15,000 for a website, not like it is today. And, there was no big Google ads. None of that was going on. This was back in the day. And I had to figure out a cheap, easy, low cost, no effort way to be able to create an experience for my patients that they would be willing to refer. And I thought, well, especially women, right? We all love that extra little touch, extra little, caring that you would give. And since my practice was primarily women, I thought, okay, so at the end of every single day, after Marcy had processed all of the fee slips and we had all the files and everything, she would hand me back the files of any new patients for that day. Sometimes it was 1 or 2 or 3, maybe none. But if I had any new patients, I knew she would hand them back to me with a thank you note and and she would pre-write the address on the label, on the envelope. And I just had them printed. Now you can get them pretty inexpensively. There's lots of places online where you can get them printed for your clinic. And so I would write a thank you note for them. And then I would pick up the phone and call them. And this might be 6 o'clock. Sometimes if I left early, I would just call them from home. But I would call and just say, hey, Mary, it's Dr. Rhonda. I'm just checking on you to make sure to see how you're feeling. And how are you after today's? I know we talked about a lot. I know we went over lots of information. You're probably feeling a bit overwhelmed. But more than anything, I just want to just check on you and say hi and make sure that you felt comfortable about our appointment today. Because I'm not doing any treatments, remember, I'm just doing nutrition work. So I'm not a hands-on practitioner. And I cannot tell you how many times those patients that I called all of a sudden started to refer because they got that extra little bit of hand-holding. They got that extra little bit of love. That who else does that? You don't go to your regular doctor and get that. Who else does that? Nobody. It set me apart and made me different. So then I would write out the thank you note. Mary, it was so delightful to meet you. I love that you love Shih Tzus. I think they're the cutest dogs ever. And I hope that we're gonna make some great progress on your headaches, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Rhonda. That's all I would say. Something super basic. I always put a little something in that was a personal thing that I learned about them. That way the receiver, Mary, in this case, Mary knows that I was listening. She knows that I was paying attention and she feels heard, but she also knows that what's important to her is important to me. I just made a little comment about the dog and that makes her feel like, oh, she loves my dogs too. And I may not care about her dogs necessarily, but at least it creates a place for us to have a conversation that's not work related, that's something important and meaningful to her. So then here's the sauce. So on the same day, I would call the patient. Okay, that would happen the same day. But I also would write out the thank you note because all that information was fresh in my mind. I would give it to Marcy and she would mail it the next day, knowing that it would get to Mary the following day or maybe 2 days later at the most. So I actually had 2 touch points. I would call the day of the appointment and then we would send an email or an email. That was way before we would do that. We would send a thank you card out the next day. So she got 2 touch points within like 3-4 days after meeting me. And I cannot tell you how many people said that was the nicest thing. And they referred and they referred and they referred. So if you're not doing that, I would really encourage you to consider doing that because it can make such a huge difference in the way that your patients feel listened to, heard, valued, respected, builds trust, authority, and credibility on your side. And they are super happy to refer to someone who actually cares. So there you go. That's my super quick practice growth strategy for this week. And I'll be back in your inbox next Monday. Don't forget about the podcast that releases every Tuesday. If you're not a podcast person, don't worry. No big deal. I have a bunch of blogs as well if you're a reader. And I do post a blog twice a month. So I'll link to one of my favorite blogs just below this video. And you'll be able to go check that out if you want to. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday or over in the Facebook group. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.